All right, guys, so here we are with our first one. It's going to be from Own Description 8323, and it says, hard clamp for 10 to 15 minutes. During this time, I will be performing clamp squeezes, then rest for 5 minutes. Usually, I will do fire goat rolls for a minute, then do shopping bag hanging for 20 minutes. I've worked my way up to 30 pounds in a backpack. No warm-up, repeat 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, night, 7 days a week. I only take days off if I'm too sore or too busy. We're starting off with the banger. We're doing our routine review. So let's break this down piece by piece. First thing, hard clamping 10 to 15 minutes. So he already says he doesn't warm up. He just goes straight into hard clamping. So look, guys, I don't claim to be some expert know-it-all that knows everything about this. I'm just going to give you my take based on the research that I've done and based on my knowledge so far. I don't like hard clamping. When I injured myself when I got hard flaccid, it was because of hard clamping. Now, there's some people that swear by it. They say it's the only thing that works for them for girth. So be it. Do it at your own risk. That being said, hard clamping for 10 to 15 minutes, to me, that makes it seem as if he puts the clamp in place and he leaves it in place for 10 to 15 minutes. That's very dangerous if that's the way he's doing it because of the ischemic changes that can start to accumulate. When you have a clamp wrapped around your junk and it's in place and it's constricting the blood flow in or out, that can be very dangerous. And you start to see actually the markers that trigger eventual downstream fibrosis as a result of the ischemia start to accumulate. If you want to know more about that, guys, watch my video on fibrosis where I break it all down. So he also talks about doing clamped squeezes. Depends on what he means by that. I'm assuming he means he has the clamp in place and then he does manual squeezes with his hand. So when you're clamping, you're already using an extremely high amount of pressure. Then to add your hand on there to add even more pressure, that's a lot of pressure, man. I hope you know what you're doing. I don't like that personally. The other thing he could mean would possibly be like Kegels, which I pray he doesn't mean because like you're squeezing your pelvic floor. If you're Kegeling during clamping, you're going to screw up your pelvic floor. I can pretty much guarantee you that. So I pray that that's not the case. He then says he'll do fire goat rolls for a minute or so. Fire goat rolls, to me, I think it's trivial. I think a lot gets made about like, oh, you can do fire goat rolls to prevent discoloration. No, I don't think it does anything meaningful. I think it's worthless, to be quite honest. I think that is something that somebody decided that, oh yeah, it sounds good. Theoretically, if you actually know the mechanism behind discoloration, it kind of makes sense because if you're having any of those hemosiderin deposits underneath the skin, you're actually like working their way out. I personally don't think it really does anything or makes a difference, but whatever, it's not going to hurt you. Then shopping bag hanging for 20 minutes. Shopping bag hanging is basically when you do a manual stretch, but you have a shopping bag on your hand, you basically know how much you're pulling because the shopping bag has weight on it. He does that for 20 minutes and he's worked his way up to 30 pounds in a backpack. If you've worked your way up, then obviously you've built up the tolerance. I think that's fine to do the hanging. You're probably at the very least resting your hand in there. I mean, it doesn't say that you're using a constriction or a vacuum cup or anything or a compression hanger or something. I would just recommend that you switch the routine up a little bit and do the length work before the girth work. I've said that before. I really think that doing length work first helps to prime the tunica and helps you to get more girth gains that way. You didn't say if you're getting actual gains from this or not. I'm assuming you're growing from this. If you were to ask me, what do I think of this routine? I would probably give it a solid C, especially the clamping every day, 3 times a day. I might give this a D actually. I mean, that is a tremendous amount of stress on your penis, even with clamping alone. If people do it, I recommend they do it every other day. And I think most of even the guidelines recommend doing it every other day. So 15 minutes of clamping 3 times a day, 7 days a week, is too much. I think very high risk of injury. I'm actually going to change this answer. I'm going to give this a D tier. I'm going to give this a D. Yeah. Once again, guys, like, do you, if you feel like this works for you, do you. I think the risk of injury with this routine and the way it's done, I don't think it's the most efficient. And I think you're at a very high risk of injury. So good luck, man. So guys, it's Hink here. We're going to be doing a routine review. If you're not familiar with this, I have my subreddit r/Hink. Pretty much once a week, I'm going to be making these posts where it's basically leave your routine and I'm going to try to get to the top posts that I see. Make sure I don't want you to have alerts on Reddit, but typically I'm going to review the top several that I see. So if you're interested, please make sure you do it early. All right, guys, so time for the next one. Next one's for Mediocre Drawing. So 5 days a week total. He does 9 5-minute sets of interval extending with the apex. So I like that, okay? I think interval extending is great. I do think extenders in general are very safe, very effective. I know Perfect Serve out of Apex, and I think it's a great product. I think that that's great. See, and then I don't know what's punctuation or what. I don't have the strongest command of the English language, okay? But then he says 5 sets, 5 minutes on, 2 minutes off of pumping. I guess he's just saying 5x5 sets of pumping. I think that's pretty good. So every other day, still 5-minute sets, but 4 of the sets are with vibration. So I guess he's doing vibration every other day. So you guys have seen, like, I made at least like 2, maybe even 3 videos about vibration. In general, I think it's fine. I don't think it's the game-changing, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing ever that a lot of people make it out to be. I do think it can add significant risk. And I also think that a lot of the gains that people see are because of the increased clear like edema that is a result of vibration because of the increase in vascular permeability. I think it's fine to do it, especially if you're doing it every other day with the pumping. Like, I really don't think you're at like really danger, especially with what you're doing. He says he'll take length, but girth is his main goal. So overall, I think this is a pretty good routine, man. I'm not going to sit here and lie like I'm not still experimenting with vibration. So I'm not going to take off any points for vibration. I think that's fine depending on how you do it. Overall, I think you're at kind of the upper limit of what I would recommend for pumping, which is 5 sets of 5 is 25. Typically recommend, so no more than 30 minutes. I think that's good. I think you're doing the length work first. So I think this is a pretty good routine, man. 5 days a week. I think you could go up to 6 days a week or even 7 days a week with this specific routine. And so if you aren't gaining, I would recommend you increase the amount of days that you do it, maybe go up to 6 days a week. But I'm going to go ahead and give this an A-. Okay. All right. So next is from Elastix. First of all, his routine is Monday through Thursday. And so he's only doing this 4 days a week. So right off the bat, I don't think that's enough. So I don't know how effective this is going to be. So probably the best that I would give this routine would probably be like a C+, but let's see what he says. So tunica massage, 2 times 5 minutes for warm-up. That's fine. I'll leave it at that. Apex extend with male hanger, 3 sets of 20 minutes at 10 pounds. Okay, I think that's good. I mean, I would typically don't recommend going above 20-minute sets if you're doing extending or hanging. Guys, on our website, peakmalephysique.com, we should have actually the male hanger compression hanger available. So if you are interested, you can pick it up there. Shouts out to Ben. He's a good dude. He's the owner of Male Hanger. Now we got another vibration pumper. Okay. He says vibration pump 7 times 3 minutes, 40 to 45 kPa. So 40 to 45 kPa is between 11.8 to 13.2 inches of mercury. So I think that's a pretty good range, actually. That's typically the working range that I would recommend. And then he does the vibration for the first, it's 10 minutes basically with vibration and then the rest off. I think that's pretty solid, actually. So I like the pump range. I like the 7 by 3 minutes. So for a total of 21 minutes of working sets, I'd be interested to know how much time he's taking off in between. I think the vibration, like overall, I think it's fine. Like it's fine. I just don't think you're going, oh my gosh, this is amazing, like everybody makes it seem. Soft clamping for 10 to 15 minutes, then shape retention with a silicone sleeve for 5 to 6 hours. Soft clamping is one of those things, kind of like hard clamping, honestly, kind of like all this. You just got to make sure you're doing it right. So do I think soft clamping is fine after pumping? I mean, that's a lot of stress on your lymphatic system to go from vibration pumping for basically 20 minutes at high pressure and then clamping for 10 to 15 minutes. And then on top of that, you're using a retention sleeve. So that's additional compression on your lymphatic system. That's a lot, especially for 5 to 6 hours. I don't like that. Is it fine? Probably. Like I'm not going to say, dude, you need to stop that because, who am I? Who cares what I have to say, guys? I'm just some clown in a mask. But then he does another 5 to 10 minutes of manuals at night. So I actually really like that. I think that guys would be surprised what they could get additional lengthwise just from doing 10 minutes of manual stretches at night just before bed, in addition to their other work, just for an additional stress stimulus. I actually like this routine. Like it's solid. The things that I don't like are basically just, the additional soft clamping and then the retention sleeve and just the fact that he's only doing it 4 days a week. So for that reason, I'm going to give this a solid B routine. I think even if you just were to increase the amount of days you can do this, that would probably take you to a B+. Just make sure you're monitoring yourself for lymphatic fluid, for lymphatic channel changes like lymphangiosclerosis or lymphocele development. If you haven't seen my video on lymphatic changes, please check it out. If you don't know, like I said, I'm Hink. I actually break down the science behind penis enlargement. I have my entire penis enlargement course, okay? I put over 1.5 inches, right at about 3 years with the receipts to prove it by doing the techniques that I talk about. So if you're interested, the link is in the description below. I take you through step by step, everything from how to begin, what to check before you begin, what are the actual real size statistics, all the way through your cool down and basically decompression and even skincare afterwards. So if you're interested, check it out. Link is in the description, guys. But back to this. Clean Part 511 says 5 days a week. Okay, so I think that's fine, 5 days a week. Manuals 30 to 40 minutes consisting of 30% Captain Morgan stretch straight down. So for those that don't know, Captain Morgan stretch is like when you basically put your knee up on like a counter or something and then you like pull down, typically like either straight down or back behind you. Well, straight down really, or to the side. So I think that's a great stretch. It's actually one of my favorites. I think it's one of the more efficient ones. Then 30% straight out. Okay, I think that's fine. I mean, that's typically what an extender would do, so that's good. 10% Mandingo. Don't like the Mandingo stretch, guys. So for those of you that don't know, so let's say that like this is my D attached to my body, okay, and I'm sideways right here. The Mandingo stretch is like when you take your hand and you like wrap it around and you wrap your D up like that and then like pull it back like that. So it's a lot of like twisting and torque on your D. I don't like it. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't recommend it. I don't do it. Overall, it's fairly safe in the sense that as long as you are like twisting and turning slowly, it's not like it's a dynamic stretch like the side to side where you pull and tug on either side, which is the most horrible thing, one of the most horrible things. I think that's fine. I don't like that. I would take that out if I was your coach, which I do coaching, patreon.com/Hink. And then 30% Captain Morgan side stretch. So I'm assuming that basically means just like on either side, not the side to side. So I think that's fine. I think that overall, that's a pretty solid manual stretch routine. Then afterwards, interval air pumping after manuals, 1.5 minutes, 300 millimeters of mercury times 12 sets. Man, what's 12 times 1.5? 12 times 1.5, 18 minutes. And so that's 18 minutes of pumping, guys. Why do you complicate things? Guys, I'm a simple guy. I don't read good, okay? And I don't math good, okay? So don't do that to me. 1.6 minutes for 13. So yeah, he's doing 18 minutes of basically working time. I think that's pretty good, man. Overall, I really like this routine. Now, guys, I'm biased. Like, you know me, I'm biased. I think that like a key routine is going to be a combination of manual stretches and pumping. Okay, I'm a simple guy. I keep it simple, but that's what's worked for me. That's why I've got gained over 1.5 inches in length and over 1 inch in girth. But I like this routine. I do think if you're going to be doing intervals like that, you might want to add some additional sets, maybe go up to 15 sets just to get a little bit closer. I like between that 20 to 30 minute range of actual like working time, typically closer to about 25 minutes. But overall, I think that's good. I also think this routine is very safe. You're only doing it 5 days a week. I would actually bump it up to 6 or 7 days a week if you can. Now, guys, I can't stress this enough. It's important to have a life. If you're doing this Monday through Friday and then you go out and you're not doing PE because you're going out with your friends or living life or spending time with your family, do not lock yourself in your shoe dungeon, pulling on your Jimmy. Go out and enjoy life. But if you do have the ability to, before you go out in the morning on the weekends, get in, some even just like 10 or 15 minutes of manual stretches and then maybe 10 or 15 minutes of pumping and call it a day. I do think that would add to your gains. With routines like this, I'm not a believer in rest days. I've made several videos on rest days, guys, where I break down the actual science and how there's really no science that supports rest days. There's just not. Now, there's also no science that supports parachutes in the sense there's never been a published study that shows that parachutes work when they compare 10 people using parachutes and 10 people that don't. Science is not everything. You have to use some common sense, but I'm just saying. But if you're interested, check out this video. Overall, I'm going to give this routine another A-. Good job, guys. So here's the next one. It's going to be federal log. Before we get to it, guys, make sure safety is of the utmost importance when you're doing any kind of PE, okay? That's why I have my safety stat, guys. I'm not going to waste too much time on an ad, but the vigor to protect your endothelial cells, the shield to protect your nerves, and the safeguard to prevent fibrosis is going to keep your D healthy and functioning long-term and also minimize any chance of actual injury, which is going to prevent you from gains. So please consider that stack if you're going to be doing PE. So federal log says, trying to lose 40 pounds of fat to hit single-digit body fat percentage. Already off the top, this is a A+100 PE routine. Like, you win, dude. And I can't stress it enough. I'm not going to sit here and lie to your face and just be like,
oh, just go out and lose weight. It's super simple. Derp.
But guys, it is a simple equation in the sense that you move more and eat less. I'm not saying there's reasons why you can't do it. Maybe some people have a metabolic disorder. Maybe some people are disabled, and so it's hard for them to burn those calories. But there are things you can do. You can lose weight if you put your mind to it. So first of all, losing 40 pounds of fat. So I would probably say that's going to add about pretty close. You're going to be approaching an inch in visible length by losing 40 pounds of fat. Your mind is going to be blown how much bigger your D is going to look. Callie, can we put that Jonah Hill picture up here? Just like look at the proportions of this guy's like face and arms when he was morbidly obese versus when he was very thin. Weight loss, I'm telling you, for your Jimmy, it makes a huge difference. But here's where we start to go downhill a little bit. I'm just kidding, but he says, PD Master Pro, all-day stretcher, 8 hours a day, work from home. I'm not a big fan of all-day stretchers. The main reason is that I have very little evidence of guys that have gotten significant gains from all-day stretchers. Do I think overall they're pretty safe? Yeah. I don't like it because basically, the more time your D is under stress, the more time there is for injury, okay? Even something like a blister. So if you have your D under some kind of PE-related stress for 8 hours a day, that's 8 hours of potential injury. Now, typically it's low tension, typically it's very safe, so you're fine, but even things like lymphatic obstruction for 8 hours a day, that could lead to something like a lymphocele or lymphangiosclerosis, which ultimately are cosmetic issues. It's not like your D is not going to work, but I don't really love it, okay? So, I mean, I think that's fine, especially if that's what works into your routine. You get your 8 hours in while you're doing your work, man, that's double trouble right there. I mean, in the sense that like, that's a double benefit. I'm not wording good right now. So I'm good with that, man. I just don't think it's very efficient. Like for me, I would rather see you wear an extender and do it for half the time. You wear an extender, maybe slightly higher tension for 4 hours a day, I think would be more efficient, more effective for you, more efficient, and probably just a tiny bit safer. He says, my goal is to increase 1.5 inches in length just following these two things to hit the ideal penis length of 6.4. I think that's great, man, especially when you're talking about like your non-bone pressed guys. Now, guys, I talk about like bone press versus non-bone pressed, and I'm sure I trigger some guys that are overweight or obese because I'm like, you know, bone press doesn't really freaking matter in the grand scheme of things because it's not what they can see. If you're 8 inches bone pressed, but you have a 3-inch fat pad, only 5 inches is visible, you are not going to look like you have an 8-inch penis. By you losing weight, if you can get 6.4 inches of non-bone pressed length, you are going to look like a freaking stud, man. That is a massive size. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care. That is a massive size. So, bro, I definitely think that you can have some massive gains from that. Just from that length work routine right there, I think you could easily get at least a half an inch in a year. Pretty easily. Probably more than that, to be completely honest. That combined with losing 40 pounds, you're definitely going to clear more than an inch as far as visible length with that routine. Still, just from mentioning the weight loss first, this is an A. I'm going to give you an A+, bro. A+. You get it. You get it. There's guys out here pulling on their junk, doing all these things when really they should be focusing all their efforts on losing weight. I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying it's much more efficient. Do you know what is easy? What is easy is sitting down in a basement and pulling on your junk or putting your junk in a tube and pumping it up. That is easy. That takes no willpower or dedication, really. One could argue it does, but it's kind of fun, guys. It's literally kind of like playing with yourself. What's not easy is getting rid of all the crap food in your house and getting on the treadmill every day, going out for a walk, going out for a bike ride, making healthy eating decisions, making sure you get to sleep for 8 hours a night to maximize your testosterone. Those things are not easy to do. That takes willpower and dedication. So because you're focusing on weight loss, yeah, like once again, S tier, A+, great job, man. All right, guys, the last one we're going to get to is from AntoMartial. He says, everyday routine. So I'm assuming that's 7 days. He says, pelvic floor with heat, 20 minutes. He's warming up his pelvic floor muscles. That's actually pretty solid. You're actually one of the first guys that I've seen that does a pelvic floor warm up with heat. Pretty reasonable. If possible, I would try to find a way to get some heat onto your D as well to get the blood flow going. Guys, if you haven't seen my video on heat, please check it out. But that can actually help with blood flow to your penis and actually helping even extend further and better during your actual PE routine. So Vigor plus tadalafil, you know I want to give them an S tier, A++ for Vigor, but you know, any kind of citrulline product is tadalafil 5 milligrams. Every day, that's a lot, bro, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know what your age is, if you have any kind of erectile dysfunction, but if we're just talking about for the benefits, like the PE benefits as far as the blood flow, as far as the better erection quality, as far as the endothelial protection, I think you only need 2.5 milligrams, especially if you're taking it with such a potent vasodilator like what we have in Vigor. I would dial that back, make your tadalafil or Cialis last longer, do 2.5 milligrams, or maybe do 5 milligrams every other day if it's hard for you to break the tabs up. Tunicle massage, testicle massage for 20 minutes, fine. I mean, that's a lot of time, bro. Like maybe you have a lot of time on your hands, but I think that could go. Manual stretches, 20 minutes. I think that's a pretty solid amount of time. I think that's the bare minimum amount of time that you need to do manuals to actually get benefits from it. Light clamping to get a peak erection and then 2 sets of pumping, 5 minutes. I think that's pretty solid to do like light clamping as a warm-up. 2 sets of 5 minutes of pumping. I don't think that's enough. That's enough for erection benefits, but I don't think that's enough to really see significant gains as far as girth. And you're doing 12 to 14 inches of mercury. I think that's a pretty good range. I definitely wouldn't recommend going above 14 inches of mercury. That's just my take. And yes, that data is from rat data. And if you haven't seen my videos, just check out my pumping playlist, guys. But I have videos breaking down the ideal set time, the ideal pumping duration, and the ideal pumping pressure, where I break down literally all of the published literature, okay? Then 5-minute break between and after sets, tunicle and testicle massage. I think the massaging is fine, man. The testicle massage, not so sure about, but at the very least, you're being aware of the contents of you can feel for hydroseals, varicoceles, things like that. So I think that's a pretty good take, man. And then he says, love you, Hank. You're the effing man. So, man, first of all, for those that don't know, like there's an inside joke with my guys. I don't know. I'm going to call us the Acorn Gang or whatever, where it's to basically do different variants of the word hink, because I see like hunk or honk, or that's hilarious to me. And so I appreciate you for that. And like, I'm not going to get all like corny here, guys, but the love is real. Like, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, guys. I mean, it seems so genuine from you all. And I hope you all can feel the love back from me, because I truly love you guys. And I really appreciate just taking the time to watch this video. That being said, if you're here, you want to leave a like, I'd really appreciate it. Certainly, if you want to subscribe, I'd appreciate that too. Overall, man, I think you have a good routine. Even with all the love and even with the vigor, I'm still going to give this probably a B, just because, I mean, you're doing a lot of stuff for actual overall health and erection quality. So if that's your goal, I'd probably say this is an A. This is an A for erection quality. But if your goal is to actually increase in length and girth, I'd probably say that this is more like a B, maybe even, I'd just say that this is a B, okay? I would increase the amount of sets that you're doing with pumping primarily. Really, that's about the only thing I would change, and I think you can make significant gains. Overall, man, great job. So guys, you guys, I mean, these routines have been honestly very good. I'm very pleased with all of them. I think that all of these are going to potentially lead to gains. If you guys learned something, please consider subscribing once again. Check out my enlargement course. Remember, guys, there's nothing wrong with self-improvement, but you are enough just as you are. And last thing, guys, Callie does great work. He's my editor. If you're interested in any of the ways to support him, links are in the description. Also, he sent me his pack of like 6 or 8K wallpapers that I'm actually using on this phone that I'm recording on. They're really nice, guys. So please consider checking those out in a way to support him. All right, guys, peace and love.
Dr. Hink got the plug on the health, yeah. Got you thinking about your wealth, yeah. In his office, no stealth, yeah. Pinnacle of that below the belt, yeah. Checks and balance, he's managing. Working miracles, no damage. Got you covered, no panicking. Steady calm. In the clinic, no vanishing. Yeah, with Doc Hink, it's the way back.